On this edition of Kababayan Today, for Theater Thursdays, we've got an exclusive reading of the Romance of Magno Rubio and playwright Lonnie Carter. That's all next on Kababayan Today. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si G-Tonji. Isa na namang araw dito sa Kababayan Today at it's Theater Thursdays. Kaya naman mapapanood natin ngayong araw ang Romansa ni Magno Rubio. The Romance of Magno Rubio is a play by Lonnie Carter based on a short story by Carlos Bulosan. It was developed by the Mayi Theater Company, had its premiere in October of 2002 in New York City, and the production cast members and writers were the recipients of 8 special 2003 Obie Awards. I mean, this is huge. The prestigious often off-Broadway awards given annually by Village Voice. We're honored that Lonnie Carter has agreed for us to do an exclusive excerpt of his work here on Kababayan Today. Before we see that very special excerpt, I want to introduce you to our cast and our director who's doing our exclusive reading today. Let's welcome our director, Rodney To. Kasama ang mga artista natin ngayong araw na ito, di ba? Si Gelo Francisco and si Erick Esteban. So these Filipino artists seem to be a regular here on Kababayan Today. I just want to say thank you for collaborating with me and with Kababayan Today. It's time that we get our stories out there.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, really. Thank you for having this platform for us to sort of do all of this. It's been so great.
So,
really.
so Rodney, talk to me about your experience when it comes to Magno Rubio. I know you mentioned how you were there in the early stages.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I was living in New York, and I've worked at that point with a lot of the, the Mayi theater artists, and at that point, you know, I've been working with them for several years now, and then I got a call just to do a simple in-house. No one really understood what it was. Just a reading at Loy Arsenis's house. Loy is the original director and sort of one of the collaborators of the original production, and I was there with Art Acuña, Orlando Pabotoy, and I think Ramon de Ocampo was there. And anyway, so it was a wonderful group of men, and we just went there to read these stories and poems, and not knowing anything that was going to happen out of it. And then years later, it turned into the play, Romance of Magno Rubio, which garnered all of these wonderful accolades. It's just this beautiful, beautiful story of this, this young man who has a heart of gold and, Herculean strength that beyond anything that anyone imagined him to have.
It's the Carlos Bulosan story,
It really
right?
is. It's such a postcard. What I love about, excuse me, what I love about the entire thing is it's such a postcard to the Filipino culture, not just men, not just women, but everything that encompasses the Filipino. It's such a beautiful, beautiful love letter.
Yes, and if you don't know who Carlos Bulosan is, you will get to know him a little bit more when you watch The Romance of Magno Rubio. Kausapin natin si Gelo tsaka si Erick. Both of you are performers and you're out there doing your theater scene. Why do you think it's so important for us Filipinos to be able to share our stories to the rest of the world? Gelo?
The Romance of Magno Rubio, when I came here in LA, I didn't know the story of the Manongs. Meron palang mga Pilipino na nagpunta sa Amerika, and then they worked the fields of California, not just California, but going
plantations in Hawaii,
Alaska, Hawaii.
Oo, lahat yung region.
So it's basically an eye-opener for me when I did The Romance of Magno Rubio at the Ford. It gave me tons to research about. It gave me the, wow, meron palang nangyari. And we were not only the African Americans that had the hardships. It was with the Filipinos too, and
the prejudice that we faced, right?
Yes, the Filipinos in Delano and up to the 60s, I think. For me to play a character in such a beautiful play like The Romance of Magno Rubio, for me, I can. I always dreamed of going to Broadway, but now I think I'm good. No, I'm good.
Wow, that's a
Romance of Magno
statement.
Rubio.
Huh?
I'm good.
Eric, what about your experience working on Magno Rubio? How has it transformed your perception on who you are as a Filipino?
It made me realize that it's possible to be a Filipino actor in America. Because when I was coming up in Chicago, I was miscellaneous brown. That's my role. I played Puerto Rican, I had cornrows, I played black, I played, all the different brown shades of brown, including Asian, but, all the different shades. And there was never a role where you could actually be who you are, Filipino, and take pride in the story and take pride in the manongs and take pride in the history of it. When we did, because I was lucky enough to do it in Chicago with Rodney, when Rodney played Magno. And then, and it was funny because today we were doing the direction, and it was great getting the perspective of his internal process of how he created his own Magno, which was wonderful. And that too, meeting Rodney and meeting Bernardo and meeting Joe Ferranda and meeting Narciso and all the guys from the original Chicago cast also opened up this whole world of Filipino actors.
It's amazing when
All
we all
these-
get together
yeah.
and collaborate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lonnie has agreed for the three of you to stage an excerpt of Magno. Rodney,
Preview lang.
Oo, preview lang. Konting sample. Rodney, talk to us shortly about what we're going to see here on Kababayan today.
This first scene that we're about to see is this where Nick decides he's going to write a love letter to this woman that Magno has fallen in love with, and it's a woman that he met through a Lonely Hearts magazine. And here's where we finally we first see the enormity of his heart.
Okay.
And it's just an excerpt, and so you see it takes us from the letter into his fantasy and into the world in which Magno lives in.
And then the other excerpt that we're
And
going
then
to
the
show?
other excerpt is where we see the enormity of Magno's strength. Like this is where he just where all of the doubt that creeps into any of this play is certainly not through Magno. It's certainly through everybody else in the play, and the audience is taken through it. So this is where we first experience the moment where he decides nothing is going to stop him. He's going to stop at nothing to get what he wants, and what he wants is to be with this woman.
Napaka-inspiring talaga ng storya ni Magno Rubio. Ladies and gentlemen, I present, when we return here on Kababayan today, an exclusive excerpt of Ang Romansa ni Magno Rubio.